Okay. I've given a hard time to the CDC in the United States, especially over their handling of the cruise industry, because I love cruising, and they've literally botched it since day one. Well, not day one. First little while, they had to do what they had to do. That's no problem. But to not come up with a clear, precise plan for reopening for 15 months, that's botched. However, I will give credit because at least they came up with, once you've been vaccinated, you can do this. And once you've been vaccinated, you can do that. And if you haven't been vaccinated, you can't do this. They came up with rules in the United States and they eased restrictions as the numbers warranted. Well, in Canada, yeah, we have a much different approach. So when asked, saying that, you know what, we need a guided plan. We need a plan for Canadians to know what they can and can't do, or can and can't expect to do this summer once they've been fully vaccinated. And, you know, we quoted the CDC. They said, you know what, they said once you've been vaccinated by this date and the percentages of people are at this date, then you can do this. And our health ministers and our health experts have all said, well, you know what? We're not gonna tell you and give you numbers. So we're not gonna say that, you know, once you've been fully vaccinated, you can gather with other people who have been unvaccinated, who have been vaccinated in your household. We're not going to say that you can not wear a mask outdoors. And we're going to recommend that you use your own discretion. Because everybody is different. And you don't really know if that person coming to your party who says that they've been vaccinated has really been vaccinated. So we're going to use extreme caution, an abundance of caution, to just say everybody should guide themselves and be careful themselves and use their own discretion, even if you've been fully vaccinated.
Yeah, I think this question is probably for Dr. Tam. I'm looking at the vaccine numbers, and we now have more than 7.5 million Canadians who are fully vaccinated. You mentioned that it's sort of past that first goal of 20%. I'm just curious why we still have not provided any guidance to Canadians on what they can safely do once they're fully vaccinated. We already see people sort of making those decisions for themselves without a lot of guidance. So why is Canada not prepared to provide some advice to Canadians on what is safe and not safe for them to do as they become fully vaccinated?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question, especially at this point in time that most Canadians will have access to their second dose. And so we are, in fact, having these very discussions with our colleagues, the other chief medical officers, as we speak. And so we expect to undergo these discussions rapidly and provide further communication to Canadians.
Okay, but I guess I'm still sort of curious why we haven't done that so far. I mean, we knew this was coming. It's not a surprise to Canada that the vaccination rate was picking up. We've known that for weeks. How come we still are not ready to provide people with this advice, even as we know people are taking that matter into their own hands?
Yeah, I mean, the first point of recommendation is still you must follow your local public health advice. That is really important because it's not the same in every part of the country. Individuals with underlying risk factors have a very different set of risk assessments as well. So it would depend. These risk assessments depend on your individual risk, who you're about to get into a contact with, as well as the epidemiology of your specific community. So these are some of the consideration, and what we would like to do is take Canadians through some of these risk assessments that they can do for themselves.
Use our own discretion. What the heck are you guys there for then? Aren't you the guys who are supposed to tell us, hey, it's safe to do things now, or it's not safe to do things now? Why have we been wearing a mask for 15 months? Why have we been getting vaccinated if after all this time you're going to tell us, well, you know what? You decide now. You can't. You can't leave it up to everybody's individual, because you're going to have those people who are immediately going to just throw off their masks no matter what. And you're going to have other people who will wear a mask alone in the park in 100-degree temperature with nobody around them for 500 yards. Give people clear guidance. You have done nothing during this pandemic except talk about the need for more restrictions. Well, the time is starting to come to ease those restrictions. You need to come up with a dedicated plan. You need to come up with something that Canadians can say, yeah, hey, we've done this. We are rewarded for doing this suffering and the loss of jobs and the not seeing our families for 15 months and not being able to travel and not being able to cross the border and having restaurants closed, movie theaters closed, bars closed, sporting events canceled, baseball, weddings, funerals, all these things canceled. We've suffered through it so we can get to this point, and you're going to tell us, use your own discretion. Well, thanks for nothing. Thanks for absolutely nothing. Where's the guy? Like, at least the CDC came out with real guidelines. As the numbers reach this, they said people who are vaccinated can do this. And here we are. We are over now the 75% vaccinated in Canada of the first dose and over 20% of the second dose, which here in Ontario means we should be in phase 3. If our numbers got down to this, our positivity rate got down to this, our hospitalizations got down to this, and our vaccination rate got to this, we're okay to open in phase 3. We haven't even gone into phase 2 yet. So what good is giving us numbers then? What good is giving us any guidance because you're not following your own guidance? And I'm not saying open up immediately, don't follow any regulations, but I mean, we've already reached level 3 numbers to open on Ontario, and yet still, we're not even thinking of going into phase 2. And if we go into phase 2, we might go in 1 or 2 days early into phase 2. Yeah, we've reached phase 3 numbers, but variant, there's variants. Well, we've had variants in Ontario, we've had variants in Waterloo, Peel, Toronto, and the numbers are still going down, and the vaccination rates are still going up. So at least follow your own numbers. And for Health Canada, to say that you're gonna not really come out with any clear guides for Canadians and kind of recommend that they use their own discretion on what they feel that's safe to do?
Add a few comments to what Dr. Tam has said. Certainly, the key thing for us is obviously is that people should look at their local epidemiology and listen to local public health authorities, because obviously it's a big country and there's obviously different situations throughout the country. So listen to local public health authorities. Now that many more Canadians have got their double vaccination, as Dr. Tam said, I think in the coming days and weeks you will see the federal government coming out with different types of risk assessment tools, because I think that Dr. Tam's point, there's no single size fits all. You can't tell everybody, yes, you can all do this. It really depends on your individual context. So, based on your own health status, what the vaccination status is of maybe the people you want to maybe socialize with, all these other factors come into account. And so I think it's important to tell Canadians and show Canadians that there are tools available in which they can take all those different factors into account in making their own personal risk assessment and what they might then feel comfortable doing. So I would say watch this space, and things will be coming out in the next little while. Thank you.
Talk about a cop-out. Talk about an absolute cop-out. That's like, yes, we told you had to shut everything down. We told you had to lose your job. We told you we had to close the borders. But as far as, opening and everything, use your own discretion. That's up to you. That's not up to us. We can recommend that you use your own discretion. Oh my goodness, no wonder people are all over the place. No wonder people in Canada are completely upset. Because there's absolutely zero guidance in reality. We've made our numbers, so now that means we can do this, right? Well, yeah, but we didn't mean just those numbers. We meant those numbers and this number, and we haven't reached that number yet. Well, you didn't say that before. Yeah, but we meant it, though. We meant those numbers. Okay, well, we're going to make those numbers in like 4 days. So does that mean we can open in 4 days? Well, there might be another number that we haven't thought of yet. So we're going to have to follow the science. Follow the science. Well, your science has already said we should be opening. CDC has already said you should be opening. United States is only at 50% vaccinated and less than 70% of the first dose vaccinated. I don't see cases flying off the handle in the United States yet. They're still on the downturn. They're still going down. And most of the United States is open. There's no masks. There's no nothing. And here in Canada, we're wearing masks outdoors, for God's sake. We can't get together. There's still restrictions going on. And there's still no clear guidance for any opening whatsoever from the federal government. And the latest one is a joke. The latest one saying, we're not going to really give you firm numbers that once we've done this, you can do. We're going to leave it up to the individual's discretion because, this person might have a heart problem and this person might be obese and might have different problems and everybody's different. Well, no kidding. The world's different. But if you give certain guidance to everybody saying that once you've been fully vaccinated, you can do this, yet if I feel I'm a high-risk person, I can make the decision to wear a mask myself. But if you won't even come out with those numbers, it leaves everybody else in limbo. So, yep, I came down hard on the CDC during this pandemic for a lot of their decisions, but at least they came up with opening plans and opening guidelines for the country. And here in Canada, typical, we'll tell you later. We'll tell you later. You know when they're going to tell us? When everyone else decides, yeah, we're not listening to you anymore and we're taking off our masks and we're going about normal. How sad is it that after 15 months, knowing the numbers, knowing the science, knowing the vaccination rates, knowing everything, they've yet to come up with an opening plan. After 15 months. Why should I be surprised? Because the only thing that this government has ever been good at doing is saying nothing and doing nothing. Pretty speeches, they do pretty speeches all the time, but in reality, they accomplish nothing. And that's exactly what they've done with the reopening plan. Nothing.